My name is Aaron Ladd, host of the Chief Squad Show here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Brett Veach and company, they listened. Not only did they get a quarterback that can make plays while Patrick Mahomes is still rehabbing, they got one that can make plays while Patrick Mahomes is healthy as well. I'll tell you why in this new episode.
And I'm Darren Smith. That is probably something that we all agree on. And if anybody tries to interrupt me, I'm going to interrupt them before they do.
Uh-oh.
I'm Ryan Tracy, and none of this matters. The draft needs are the draft needs. They still got to go get talent, and that's what they're going to do.
And I'm JC Pearson, and man, I don't know what happened between Darren and some of the comments, but hey, keep them coming out there. Keep the comments coming.
Chiefs Kingdom, stand up. It's the Chiefs Squad. Everything Kansas City Chiefs every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from Arrowhead Stadium, the way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Squad up. The Chiefs Squad Show starts now.
Chief Squad Show is back on your device. We appreciate you making us part of your week. Aaron Ladd, JC Pearson, Darren Smith, and Ryan Tracy. Here's what we got on tap for you all on this Tuesday. A couple things happened while we were away. There was some restructuring happening, some people moving places, and some contract details coming out. We'll wrap that all up in our first segment, as well as an acquisition of a new quarterback for Kansas City, how that can impact what we see on the fields in St. Joe, as well as Arrowhead Stadium. The draft needs continue. Ryan Tracy will go under the hood on what Brett Veach and company did do in the draft, or also potentially free agency. And then a big move happening inside the AFC West, how it impacts Kansas City's push for another Super Bowl trophy. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Look, if you want to jaw with Darren back and forth in the comment section too, that's cool. I mean, hey, it's engagement, right? You know, engagement is engagement. We've been seeing some of the comments I saw last week, people saying the show is growing on them. We appreciate that. Remember to tell a friend. We're trying to get to 20K on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube if you could. Special shout out to those everydayers and those that make us the first listen, and all the shows here on the Locked On Podcast Network. While we were away, a couple of moves. Let's see where y'all want to start out of these three. Drew Tranquil restructures his deal and is back in the kingdom after some thought that he might be a cap casualty. He restructures, he's back. And I saw on the Daily Show y'all talking about how that move opened up some room for some other signings. So that's something we could talk about in this first segment. Hollywood Brown has found a new home. I believe he's a Philadelphia Eagle now. On a one-year deal, one-year basis. That doesn't look like that entertains or moves Ryan Tracy very much. And then the details behind Travis Kelce's deal, which we talked about for a very long time on this platform. What would it look like? How he structures it? How is Kansas City going to pay one of their franchise legends? Stop me if I'm wrong here, but Travis Kelce's deal is $3 million cap hit for this upcoming season. Does that sound right, Ryan?
Ish.
$9 million.
A lot of incentives there, so I'm expecting he hits some of those. But yeah.
Well, how about you jump us off here? This weekend recap, if you will. Tranquil, Hollywood Brown, Kelce. I'm sure I missed somebody else in there. What's the most noteworthy of that bunch for you?
I think that there's kind of a camaraderie that I think goes beyond what we've seen the last season, which has been difficult. Let's be honest. I think for the players more so than anybody. But to see Tranquil take a reduction so he can get something done, I think that's a step forward. To see Kelce come back on an incentive-based contract, to be honest. I don't know. I haven't seen the structure yet. I don't know if there's void years or whatever, but like it's all coming back to try to put it back together, right? To make one more run at it for two guys that are obviously at the older end of the spectrum. So I think that's all positive sign. I think that rubs off on some of the new guys coming in, that it is everything that you want it to be in terms of a group mentality. We can't win without each other, that kind of thing. So I took it as positive. As far as Hollywood say, I hope that it pans out that he grows you a comp pick. But other than that, I mean, that's non-Chiefs news. I don't think there's a whole lot of impact.
And I believe, speaking of comp picks, the Gardner Minshew move might come with a comp pick as well for Kansas City, potentially, on how that works out. Look, I think the Hollywood Brown thing, before we toss it over to Darren and JC, it just accentuates what we've talked about. KC has to add another wide receiver and somebody in that room that they can rely on, and Mahomes can rely on coming off this injury. I know Hollywood Brown wasn't the most reliable guy in the world, and maybe there were some, I don't want to say buyer's remorse, but maybe some things left to be desired from what his time was here in KC. him leaving now just kind of puts that underline and the exclamation point on. They still need to add maybe 1 or 2 more pieces in that room. Do you agree or disagree, Darren?
Well, no, I agree. I mean, I've been saying that for the longest. I mean, I know one wide receiver that they're going to add later on this year. The question is whether or not they're going to get. I mean, you said 1 or 2.
Who would that be?
I don't need.
Juwan Jennings?
Nah. But to your point, I mean, I don't know if it's buyer's remorse when it comes to Hollywood. It was just that, how the first season turned out, and then of course, I think he was injured literally first, just like Worthy was injured first play of the preseason game against Jacksonville, and I can't remember if he took a hit or just when he fell on his shoulder, but. And he didn't come back, of course, close to the postseason time, and so you didn't get a chance to see what these wide receivers could do together, if healthy. And so going into last season, I understand why they brought him back and how but things just didn't play out the way that we thought it would. But and you talk about Gardner Minshew, like one man's trash is another man's treasure. So the Chiefs might be able to get something off of that when it comes to a comp pick. But I mean, all in all. Look, I've been on record, man. I think that if they were willing to trade partner, which I don't think they are, but if they would, I would try to give up the 29th pick to go get Marvin Harrison Jr. out of Arizona. People keep saying, he hasn't been good in Arizona. Look who was throwing the football. I mean, Kyler Murray was more concerned about trying to have explosive plays on the ground and stuff versus getting your number one weapon, your number one wide receiver, because that's what he was drafted to be, the football. You give him a quarterback that will throw him the football, he will excel at it. I mean, Ohio State Ohio State print out wide receivers like do money, with the federal government. So I know that that's a good wide receiver, and I know that's someone that would excel in Andy's offense and help Patrick Mahomes when he gets back.
Couldn't hurt making a call, but why would Monty Ossenfort let him go? I mean,
well, no,
that's something to rebuild around, right?
No, that's that. I mean, again, you make the phone call. I take the phone call. I don't think a deal will get done, as I said, but at least that would be somebody that I would look to go after. Now, there are, and I think, I don't know, we were going to have on this show or the next show a list of the free agents that are still out there that are still available, because I know there's a lot of top names that are out there that probably not going to get as much money.
I can work on that. I can work on that for you. For Hollywood Brown, it was a 1-year, $6.5 million deal with Philly. And here are the numbers, according to Albert Breer, from Travis Kelce's 1-year, $12 million deal. It's got a $3 million base with $9 million coming in roster bonuses. They're using a post-June 1 rule to spread it out amongst the cap for what that means. And then $3 million in playtime / playoff incentives. So it sounds like he really wanted to come back, which, JC, you didn't believe that he was coming back. And this whole time I kept telling you that, Travis Kelce wants to be here and they need him this year. That?
Yeah.
I don't remember that, Aaron.
Yeah. Hey.
I don't remember that, Aaron.
Yeah, St. Patrick's Day. He's had too much to drink, obviously.
Yeah, but I think I was the only one that said that he would be back here. But okay,
no, I said he was coming back.
And JC did. He stopped that.
Yeah, but same with that's going to happen with Tyreek. They're going to work that same type of incentive-based deal, right?
We're saying his name now.
Yeah, why not? It's out there in the media. Other people are saying it, and I think that's going to happen. But I was a little surprised with the Tranquil deal that he took that big of a pay cut, even though $3 million is guaranteed. But I think he probably had some reservations as to if he was going to get the open market. I don't know, but good deal for both sides. If he's willing to take less money, then fine. He's still serviceable, and $3 million or $3.5 million is not a lot of money when you look at the overall cap number. So I think that worked out well. Again, they're going to have to go get a receiver, and now it looks like with all the other moves that they're making, it looks like in order to they have to get a playmaker or two. And, it looks like maybe if somebody's there in the draft, they're going to do that. But, I'd say draft a young guy and bring in a veteran at the same time. But they're going to have to get some playmaking ability out there. And then and on the defensive side as well. Still, even though they plug some holes, they still need some playmakers on that defense.
And Aaron, just go. I know you had the little thing earlier where somebody said AJ Brown. The reason why I keep going with Marvin Harrison, and I don't know what Brian Thomas's contract is. He's on a rookie deal. AJ Brown is on a max type of deal. That's why you go after Marvin Harrison, because he still has 2 years left on his rookie deal plus the 5th-year options. Let's do the math. So that's the reason why I would go after him. And plus, he gets his talent legit because his father's a Hall of Famer. He's pretty good, and he was considered the best wide receiver to come out of Ohio State since Chris Carter, until of course Jeremiah Smith is there now. So
what about Jackson Smith and Jigba?
I'm saying no. Well, we can't get him, so that's just a big difference.
Here are the Drew Tranquil numbers from Mike Garafolo. He renegotiated the final year of his deal, comes down from $6 million to $3.5 million, $3 million fully guaranteed. That trims his cap number by $2.5 million. I don't really know how many guys would do that, to be completely honest with you. I know a lot of players that would say, you know what? I got my ring. I had a great time here in the kingdom. Y'all are entering a different phase. Let me go and let me seek my money somewhere else. I don't know too many guys that would have said, you know what, I want to stay here. I want to be part of what's next. I think this really does speak to what Drew is trying to accomplish still here in the kingdom. Y'all agree or disagree?
Aaron, but that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing I was telling you about a few weeks ago. The Chiefs will let you go out, see what the market bears for you. If it's not what you want, you can come back and take their offer. But now the Chiefs know that you can't get it. So now they can undercut their own offer and say, you take this or leave it. And that's essentially what happened.
Yeah, and where else he's going? I'm sorry, Ryan, but where else is he going to get more money? He's at the end of his career, and now you're offered a guaranteed $3 million. You got to take it. It's a big pay cut, but you may end up with nothing. If you bet on yourself, you may sign another deal, but the guaranteed money is not going to be there. So. You take what you can get at this point.
That's where I was going to. It's about the guarantee, right? Taking a chance outside the organization, that's one thing. Taking a reduced salary is guaranteed, and you got a chance to play with Mahomes and a chance for another championship run. I mean, it's a pretty no-brainer for me if you're a guy at that position.
And then if you think about it, Aaron, I mean, there was really, as they all said, what other options did he have? Because they could have just cut him, and then they were going to save money on the cap. And then you go out there, you don't see nothing. Now you can really lowball them, less than the $3 million. And I ain't gonna lie, I don't know why they just didn't guarantee the full $3.5. I don't know what the half
at that point, huh? Yeah,
it's that downside of 30 thing, right? You got to take what you can get it at that point.
Yeah.
The Chiefs still have some holes to fill on defense, and later in the show, we'll talk about potentially if they go the free agent route or the draft route through that. But to me, Drew Tranquil is of all these moves. Obviously, Travis Kelce is important to what they do on offense, leading receiver last year. But I don't want to say Drew Tranquil is as important, but they're entering a different phase. They need to have some of these transitionary times. Maybe they draft a linebacker since Leo's gone. They draft a linebacker who can learn under some of these veteran guys towards the end of their career, and they can make some of that transition in the years. We're talking about sustaining a dynasty here. You gotta lay up a succession plan, if you will.
Well, that's what the draft is going to come in at.
I think linebackers on the table. I also think that they like Cooper McDonald a whole lot more than we know by a couple of things that they gave away last season. So I think they may see, especially in a Sam role, a guy that can come off the edge or be that overhang pass rusher. I think they think McDonald can fill part of that role. It's about the two backer sets that I think they're most concerned.
And Drew's still a playmaker to me. He does make plays, so I'm not trusting him in pass coverage, but he does make some big plays, and post game, hey, Drew, what you got to say about today's game? He'll talk to you.
That's what Veach should do. He should go run his list by you before he makes any of the changes. Sure. Like Darren, are these guys? Well,
he won 3 Super Bowls. I mean,
he listens to the show.
Media is not a criteria for a roster spot.
Hold on. Did you just say he watches the show because he went and got some running backs from me?
He listens to you, Aaron.
He takes notes, right?
I said he listens to the show. I don't know if he listens to me directly.
Well, I know he doesn't, but
you've said that before. But hey, we just let it go.
Oh no, I'm sorry, Eric. If you were gonna say that, I was mean to you. So I'm sorry.
Thank you. I appreciate the commenters having my back here on the Chiefs.
Be nice
Squad.
to the host.
Let's take our first time out here. When we come back, the Chiefs adding to their quarterback room. We discuss Justin Fields on the other side. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill is still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed, sponsored jobs help you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for: skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In just the minute I've been talking to you, companies just like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored jobs credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show, the Chief Squad Show, by saying you heard about Indeed on our podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. We are back in on the Chief Squad Show here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Aaron Ladd, JC Pearson, Darren Smith, and Ryan Tracy. Here is the meat of our episode as the Chiefs trade for New York Jets quarterback Justin Fields on Monday, I believe it was. It was this week for sure. They're swapping a 6th round pick in 2027 draft, and in return, the Jets are absorbing $7 million. I'm doing this off the top of my head.
Yeah,
bad prep from the host. They're absorbing $7 million of the $10 million that he is owed. So I'll start it off on this because I know a few weeks back we had talked about Anthony Richardson and mentioned some other names. I know Russell Wilson came up. We were just talking about who would be kind of this fill-in while Mahomes is still getting right. Who's going to be the guy to take the first team reps? Gardner Minshew went to Denver. So who's going to be the guy? I think Fields kind of molds the gap of you wanted a low value investment. You wanted somebody that you weren't going to spend too much money on acquiring or too much draft capital on acquiring. You wanted somebody who had some experience, which Justin Fields has. I know he was only 2-7, I believe, last year as the starter for the New York Jets, but he's shown flashes when he has played and been surrounded by talent. I think back to some of his time in Chicago as well as New York when he's had strong starts. And Andy Reid is known as a quarterback whisperer and a guy who likes reclamation projects. I mentioned this when we were talking about Anthony Richardson. Like, Andy Reid is known to put his arm around guys who have kind of been downtrodden in the league or haven't had their best day, give them the support of a good system and a strong foundation around them, and get the best out of them. I expect Justin Fields to take all the first team reps in St. Joe. I don't know necessarily what that looks like for preseason, but I would not be shocked at all if he's first out the gate week 1 as well, if Patrick Mahomes is not ready to go. I know that's a big if, and I'll let y'all go from there, but I would give 2 thumbs up on the Justin Fields acquisition.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a great move. That name had never come up. We didn't think, but yeah, I mean, even after Patrick is healthy and the starter, there's a package that you can use Justin Fields in because he's still a capable thrower. He can run the ball. Pat doesn't. We don't do any quarterback sneaks anymore. 4th and 1 after Pat got hurt with his knee. Justin Fields can run that package and still throw the ball out of it. So it's not. He's not. Just all run. I mean, and like you said, he's been in a different system, so to speak, every year of his career. This is, to come here and be tutored by Andy and not have all the pressure that he's had on him every year to be the man. I mean, I think it's a win-win situation for him and the Chiefs, and another great move by Brett Veach.
I think that was a good pickup by Kansas City, more so for Justin Fields for a lot of reasons that you talked about, JC. The thing is, he's coming in. He didn't have that pressure that he had when he was, signed with Pittsburgh and signed with because he did have some good games up in Pittsburgh. I know you kind of forgot that, Aaron, but then also in New York. But look, I will say this, and I said it online. I'm not gonna shy away from it. One of the reasons why I know he was happy to come to Kansas City, because there's a different offensive coordinator here that's not here, that was here before, that was his head coach. And the head coach,
you just can't help yourself sometimes, man. You just
I name no names. I'm just saying that had that offensive coordinator been there, he wouldn't have wanted to come, because he felt like he kind of messed him up in Chicago. That's just, come on now. We talk to people. So,
did he have a no trade clause I didn't know about? I thought the teams made the deal.
Hey, he can. You know what? And he can also fill the physical too. Let's keep that in mind.
So, but I know that there were a number of teams that were interested in him, and he chose to come to Kansas City.
He chose Kansas City. So yeah. Again, he chose Kansas City for a reason. But going back to what I was saying, being able to be in the quarterback room with Patrick, being able to learn, how to play the position, and learn how to play quarterback under Andy Reid, and you got an offensive coordinator who is going to design and draw and help put him in position to excel in Eric Bieniemy. I think this is a win-win for not only him but also for Kansas City. If by some God's grace and mercy that Patrick Mahomes is not ready by week 1, I think that Justin Fields will be able to run the offense. He does have a strong arm, so he can get the ball down the field, and and he can actually play quarterback. And remember, this is the best talent that he has had since he was at Ohio State. So, let's for what it's worth, but the talent that he's had in his NFL career has not been what he's going to have here in Kansas City. That he had better talent in college than he had so far in the NFL.
Come on, man.
I'm sorry.
I like it.
That's offense. Come on now. Stop.
Yeah.
Listen. Y'all separate.
Right.
I like it from a tactical standpoint more than a strategic one. I don't think Justin Fields is going to resurrect his career as a backup to Patrick Mahomes, even if he gets to start a quarter of the season or something. But this is what I really like about it. Whether Patrick starts or not, or whether Patrick at some point in the future has another ankle or something that prevents him from starting. What happens in a game when Patrick goes down is the offense has to shift. And what have we seen throughout history? Oh, no, what are we going to do? All of our backup quarterbacks are ancient because they've gone with the old learned man backup to help Patrick.
Mobile. They're a different style of quarterback.
Not even mobile, just not dynamic, right? Chad Henne made me cringe whenever he broke the pocket. I don't want him to get paralyzed out there. So, but I see tactically that now it's not just trying to run the offense that Andy Reid designed. Now you switch gears because of the legs in particular, but not necessarily as a threat or just breaking the pocket, but because it's something that the defense didn't spend any time prepping for, because they were prepping for Mahomes. It's a different style. It's a different way of running the offense. And I think that shift of gears, should you need to use it, pays off on the field maybe more than somebody that's more like Patrick from a stand in the pocket and deliver the ball.
Yeah, two parts of that stand out to me. One, I actually do think there could be packages, and I know we had a commenter write in about this. Use Justin Fields as a weapon in the run game. Line him up there with Kenneth Walker. Line him up there with Brashard Smith and send them two opposite ways. Like, Justin Fields reminds me, and I might get killed for this, but whatever. He reminds me of a smaller Jalen Hurts in a way. Just the ability and the ability to extend plays and move around and be a runner. The second part of this that I think that I want to push back against what you said, Ryan, is you said you're not expecting him to resurrect his career in this system. I think that's very much on the table because of who's inside that room and who's leading that room. Patrick Mahomes is going to be the best quarterback that Justin Fields has ever had beside him in his pro career. And I'll read off the list right now.
No, that's fine. And let me clarify. I'm not saying he won't learn or progress. I'm saying if Patrick's on his timetable to return, I don't know how much opportunity he's going to get, is my point.
Sure.
Yeah, but think about
he'll get all the preseason. We know that.
Hold on, but think about this. Other quarterbacks who have spent 1 year in this have gotten other kind of look at Gardner Minshew. Gardner Minshew got hurt on his first play. Didn't do anything here. Got a $6.5 million deal. Don't ask me how. Don't ask me why. The Carson Wentz kid, you know what I'm saying? Carson, he's not a kid, but Carson Wentz was here. Hey, get off my line. Carson Wentz, you know what I'm saying, was here and got a contract, after 1 year in Kansas
Chris
City.
Oladoka is about to get paid.
Oh, no, he's still on the team, I think.
No, he's not.
I don't know where he came from, but unless you got money in the kitty somewhere, Aaron. No, I mean, it's again. He's not expected to be a savior here, and I don't think even Ryan is saying that. I just think he just needs to progress. He needs to not be able to trip over his own feet during practices and while he's here in Kansas City, because what he just has to do is just learn to excel at the position, and then when his number is called upon, don't go into the game and don't make a lot of mistakes. That's really all he has to do during his time here in Kansas City this year.
Well, we all know that he's got a lot of talent, and it came out with a lot of talent, and has started a lot of games in the NFL. There's something to be said about that. I think with him choosing to come to Kansas City too, is because he knows that he needs to learn and be in a stable environment where the pressure is not on him every week to go out. And, I think now he can take a breath. He can learn from a guy that has coached a lot of quarterbacks over the years, and then play behind and learn from one of the best in the league now. And then take what he's learned, because he's still a really young guy, and hopefully that takes him and carries him to a long career. But I think it was a smart move by him, and taking his ego out of it and saying that I'm not going to be the starter, but I'm going to learn. I'm going to be and try to get better at my craft and learn from some people, and not just get thrown into the fire week in and week out. So I think it's going to help him.
Two things. One, I think that's one reason why I was always, apprehensive about Kyler Murray, even though he would have been on a $1.5 million deal. You don't bring a quarterback in who still thinks that he's better than the quarterback that you have. I mean, this goes all the way back to their high school days. But I would also say the most important thing, the most important thing for Justin Fields is that with him not being a starter, he didn't have to deal with the mental part of having to deal with the media. And I say that because in Chicago and in New York, when he was starting quarterback and he had it back in, he was getting beat. I mean, and that New York media got to him where he talked about he was having some mental health issues dealing with that. So at least coming here, not having to deal with a media that's as quote unquote as hard as the New York media, come here being a backup and not having to worry about being out in the forefront of the media every week or whatever, based off of your play, is something else that he's not gonna have to deal with. That's gonna help him a lot as well, because he'll be able to see how a quarterback like Mahomes and at a high level interacts and deals with the media, stuff like that. So that's something that he'll be able to take notes on the next time he gets a chance to be a starter someplace else.
Justin Fields in 2021, his quarterback room consists of Andy Dalton and Nick Foles. 2022, Trevor Siemian and Nathan Peterman. 2023, Tyson Bagent. In Pittsburgh, he was with Russell Wilson. And then with the New York Jets last year, he was with Tyrod Taylor and Brady Cook, Mizzou legend Brady Cook. My point is, he's not going. We could see the best from Justin Fields in this situation when you think about who's with him in that quarterback room and the stability of the organization around him as a whole. I mean, I'm not going out on a limb and saying the Jets aren't the best run ship in the NFL, alongside Pittsburgh and what they've been the last couple of years, and then Chicago, what it was when he first got there. Completely different story when you walk into Kansas City. Yes, it's a rehabbing Patrick Mahomes. Yes, it's an older Travis Kelce and some of the pieces around him, but he is set up now potentially to be in the best position of organization, and it would not surprise me in any way, shape, or form if we get the best version of Justin Fields, whether that's a limited sample size to start the season off or potentially some special packages or what happens, or if Mahomes gets injured. I'm very high on this move. Any final thoughts on Justin Fields before we hit the break?
And I'll say this, he is coming to an organization that's actually going to wrap their arms around him. You're not going to have to worry about the owner going into an owner's meeting talking about, how he wish he didn't have this quarterback on his team or starting for him. That much I can assure you.
Yeah. And I'll say he was a financially feasible alternative to what looks to be like an Anthony Richards situation that is going to grow and garner a whole lot, but another similar reclamation project.
Final question on this. 1.5 starts over under for Justin Fields in 2027 or 2026.
I'm gonna go over. I'm
under 1.5 starts.
Yes.
Regular season and playoffs.
Regular season and playoffs. Yep.
I would say if Patrick doesn't start week 1, he starts week 18 when the Chiefs have already been locked up their playoff position.
I like that. That was a good answer. Let's hit our break. When we come back, we'll talk the draft. You're listening to the Chief Squad Show here on the Locked On Podcast Network. What if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood prediction markets. It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood prediction markets change the game. It's people moving the action. So when momentum shifts, you can move with it. I always knew the game, but never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now I can actually take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator. Play by play, you decide. Trade every play with Robinhood. Now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Features and cleared swaps trading involves significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives LLC, a registered futures commissions merchant and swap firm. Back in on the Chief Squad Show here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Aaron Ladd, JC Pearson, Darren Smith, and Ryan Tracy turning our eyes now to the upcoming NFL draft. The Chiefs have 2 selections in the first round and plenty of holes to fill. Ryan, how about you get us kicked off on this? As the team currently sits, week in, week out, we got quarterback, we got some things that are starting to come into view for Kansas City. What's still fuzzy? What's still muddy? What moves still need to be made? And is the draft the right place to do them?
I think the draft is the right place for pretty much everything. But I will say this. We could talk about the cornerback situation, but there's still no alternative to George Karlaftis and Ashton Gelati starting at edge right now. You need more pressure than that. I think with this group in particular, with Chris Jones being the straw that stirs everything, you need to add more pass rush on both sides of him, not just on the other opposite interior. So as much as I am a Gelati guy, and I do think he has ceiling yet to find, I want to bring in waves, and I think they need to be able to rotate harder, be able to move guys in and out. And I think some young pass rush is still job number 1, particularly at 9. The question is whether they'll have an actual option there or not. But I do feel pretty good about the second and third tier pass rushers that will be available at 29, most likely.
So you're saying second and third tier at 29. That means Ruben Bain at number 9 is no longer in your board or your vision?
I've heard from several teams that don't have him as a first-round grade simply because of his arm length. I think that's short-sighted. The guy plays like his hair's on fire, and that you can't get off the film, you know? Will it cause him some problems with some long-arm guys? Yes, it definitely will, but he plays with his hands so well that I think he can thwart some punch and some reach that is out there. But I do think because of that, there are a couple of teams that might say, we're going to wait, and maybe he does make it to 9. I would hope so, and I think the Chiefs are probably going to be very, very interested. If he does not and he's gone, I do think you're going to have an option for his teammate, Messidor, or TJ Parker, who are my 3rd and 4th ranked pass rushers in this class, possibly even at 29, but certainly when they get to around 20 and Veach jumps up a little bit like he has in the past, I think that's on the table as well.
Talking draft here with our guys. KC has 2 picks in the first round. The Ruben Bain thing, I still want to hammer on this because the team is like feeding into this. They're tweeting out the highlights of him and then talking about how high. JC, you were out on hand size or arm size. Are you back in on Bain now? And Ryan, do you kind of think that KC is in the market where we don't care what the measurables are? We'll take whatever.
No, I don't think you can ever be, especially at 9. Towards the end of the round, just at 29, even though he won't be there. But at 9, you got it. You can't miss. You got to have a surefire playmaker at number 9. And I mean, no disrespect to the kid or anything, but I read somewhere that it's been since 1999 that a guy with his arm length has had double-digit sacks in the NFL. So I mean, there's something to that, I mean, and yeah, he plays hard. He's explosive. Didn't run a 40. So I know there's some questions about his explosiveness. Also, film is one thing, but you combine that with the short arms. I don't know if you take that chance, because if it doesn't work, and again, you need a bona fide playmaker, superstar there. And in college, what did he have last year? 9.5 sacks. And I would think if he had 9.5 sacks, in college in a season, it's going to be a lot tougher next year, when he's playing against bigger, better, stronger, longer guys every week, and not playing, Duke and West Virginia and Maryland and those guys, right. But I'm just saying,
he did play the maximum amount of games too, considering his team went to the national championship game.
Yeah. He still only had 9.5 sacks.
And still only had 9.5 sacks. But so again, that's why you pay your scouts what you pay them, and they do their due diligence. But I just think at number 9, you got to get a bona fide playmaker. If you don't think that he's that guy or that guy is there, then trade down, a little bit, because the further down in the round you go, you can take those risks and take those chances. But at number 9, when's the last time we had a pick that high? You got to hit on that. You got to hit on that guy.
And when's the next time you expect to have it? Everything goes to plan. You're not going to be picking up here for a long time.
Right.
I agree with you in principle. The problem is the two things that I'm concerned about from what I'm hearing is nobody wants to trade up for 9, and finding a partner is going to be difficult. And if you're out on him, and that's perfectly fine. Generally, I follow those guidelines as well. Maybe the whole league's on him. Maybe he does fall to 29, then it's not a question, right? But if he's there, who else do you think? Do you go to a secondary position that maybe doesn't have the value? Like Sonny Styles is an elite athlete at his position, but they just brought back Tranquil. Can you really pick Sonny Styles at 9 now too? Because I don't know that you have enough gap or play time to give him. That's the question. Is I don't know what the alternatives are for the Chiefs, and they may be outliers on this. Maybe they can get a trade back partner, but they may have to stick and pick.
Yeah, if there's a Sonny Styles there, you take him, because Tranquil's on a 1-year deal. Tranquil will be that backup guy at that point. And Styles does so many other things. He's a versatile guy. Same with the safety.
Downs.
Yes, Caleb Downs. I mean, he's such a versatile guy, and he's not going to be there 9 either. But you get a guy like that, and that's what I mean by playmaker. And you're going to know that he's on the field all the time, because those guys do multiple things too. And that's the kind of guy that I would look for at 9.
Darren, what you think? Offense or defense?
Man, look, Ryan and I were kind of talking about it last week off air, to where, Ryan mentioned how there's no, are there teams that would trade up to number 9 with the Chiefs for them to trade down? But the question is there a team that the Chiefs could trade up with that would want to trade down to number 9 as well? Could the Chiefs get Cleveland's pick, or could they do a swap if there's somebody that Cleveland perhaps is not excited about, and they want to, of course, get some additional picks as well? Look, man, the way this team finished at 6-11, man, I'm like, you got to just rip it all off. So I'm not, while I'm in agreement that they definitely need to add some playmakers on defense, and JC and I were kind of texting about that before the show, I'm still of the fact that, for me, I still need a wide receiver, man. I'm just, and you can say Debbie Downer, but we still haven't proven that we got number one receivers in Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy, and while we still have them on their rookie deals, this is Rice's last year in Kansas City. So I'm not even going to try to make it seem like we gonna beat around the bush. It's going to be his last year in Kansas City unless he just has an MVP type of year. So if I'm Kansas City, I got to find a playmaker on offense that I know is going to be around for at least the next 4 years. That's going to play at a high level. Now, can that be a Cardinal Tate if he falls that far? I told Ryan, I don't think he's going to get past 6 if Cleveland is there. But there's also Jordan. There's also Mekhi Lemon. I mean, so there are some playmakers in this draft that could fall to Kansas City offensively. So look, I'm not going to profess to know which way they're going to go because Brett Veach is always going to do something. He's always going to do what's best. So. But you ask me, I would go offense, and I would try to find a wide receiver to go with that to go on the offense.
I like where you're going. The problem is there's questions about all 3 of those guys, right? People question whether Tate.
There's questions about everybody though in this draft,
right,
including Mendoza. So
not this guy though, because this is where I'm going with the soft tissue issues for Jordan Tyson. Whatever the weirdness is with Lemon, like I don't think a podium should determine your draft stock, but some teams are going to knock him for it, right? I think the really interesting one is, to JC's point, if they can trade down, if they can get to 15 with the Bucks, or maybe Veach and Les already have a plan for 13 and a swap. I don't know. Maybe they already talked about it, but I think at some point you have to consider the fact that Travis's last go round needs to find the next guy to play that position. Tight end is always important in the Reid offense. Could Sadiq be on the table at 15? I think that's possible, but I might be a little rich.
A secession move. Wow. I didn't know we did those in Kansas City.
Well, but first not for everything.
Well, they tried that already, but just didn't work out.
I mean, they did that at quarterback. The
guy got hurt, and you never know. And Noah Gray, they gave him an opportunity, and it just didn't, and gave him a lot of money too, but that just didn't kind of work out. But yeah, tight end, especially, you talking about going to this, this heavy run type of offense and the play action and all that. And man, they need weapons. Tight end, obviously, or you go, 12 personnel and it's definitely, the bottom line is there's so many ways that this team can go, right? So many holes, so many different ways that, man, I think everything is still open, is still on the table at this point.
And that's why I'm less invested in the top pick and more so on how the players actually perform once they get here. And I mean, I give a lot of benefit of the doubt to Brett Veach on what he's done in the past. We talked so much about that 22 draft class and how they were able to come in, fill the need, win championships, and then move on to their next stops and get the money elsewhere. This should be a run back of that. KC has missed with some of their first and second round picks, and yet we're still talking about Dynasty 2.0 and, just being a couple plays away and 1-score games. I'm more focused on, and that's why I was team trade down for so long. I'm like, look, give yourselves more opportunity to get it right. If you have already said that the top of the draft isn't necessarily there, there's only so many players with first round grades, then go ahead and feel like you can trade back and get the value. I know it's tough to hear when you're in a year when you have a top pick and you're not a team that's used to picking up that high. But if you really trust your front office and then in turn the player development through the coaching staff, then give them as many opportunities and as many cracks at getting it right as possible. I'm still standing firmly on that.
Well, that puts another position in play here as well, even at 9, because the guy that has the biggest question mark at quarterback is McCoy with the ACL last year, right? Could this be another repeat where there's 3 DBs in this class, 4 DBs in this class? Because you got Pons, it looks like he might be available at 40, and I'd sell just about anything to pick that kid up. So, there's a number of DBs that could fit into this mold that maybe that's what it turns into.
Final thoughts on the draft before we transition into the AFC West. Good conversation here. Obviously, our guy Darren Smith will be at Arrowhead, or he will be at the team facility on draft day when everything goes down. We're planning our live show. We'll figure out the logistics. We will be live. I think the goal is to be live after the Chiefs' first pick, but if I have my wish, they probably won't be picking in the first round.
Well, I don't think they give up both of their first round
At
draft
all?
picks.
What?
I don't know who you going. I don't know about. No, I think. I mean, yeah. I still think they should go. They should go offense, and I mean, because we do feel like they're going to get some. They're going to take some defensive backs later on in the draft. I don't know if it'll be at 29 or in later rounds, but yeah, somebody mentioned an offensive tackle. I can't. No, I can't do I can't do a lineman in the first round again, especially after Simmons last year. Like I know I saw a report. I can't remember where it came from. It might have been ML Football for all I know. So I don't take them.
That doesn't sound accurate.
Yeah, about Trent Whit.
But if you draft a tackle at 9, you have one to play when Simmons is inevitably out next year.
Yeah, but here's the thing, and Ryan will agree.
Ryan, what's up with this guy, man?
I don't know, man.
With this dude, man.
If there was a first round tackle that could fall to the Chiefs, there are going to be 8 other teams above the Chiefs that will make sure that the Chiefs don't get them. That's just how it is. It's not happening.
I don't know. There's enough talent at the top. Maybe they get taken. You might get in a situation where maybe Styles goes, maybe Downs goes. And maybe that is the top grade on their board. Will Veach pull the trigger if he doesn't have a trade back partner? He might have to.
Let's take our final timeout. On the other side, we talk a major move inside the AFC West. You're listening to the Chief Squad Show here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Final segment here on a Chiefs Squad Show Tuesday. We appreciate you making us part of your day, your week, your month. Aaron Ladd, JC Pearson, Darren Smith, and Ryan Tracy doing a little AFC West roundup. The biggest news from this Tuesday is a quote-unquote blockbuster trade. I hate that term. I can't remember the last time I actually saw a blockbuster trade. I mean, Luka Doncic getting traded to the Lakers is a blockbuster trade. I don't know if anything else really reaches that level, but here we go. Jalen Waddle being traded from the Dolphins to the Broncos is a blockbuster trade on this Tuesday. The Dolphins will receive Denver's 2026 first-round pick, its 30th overall, as well as a 2026 third and fourth, while the Broncos get Waddle and a 4th-round pick in this year's draft. So a lot of swapping back and forth. Waddle reunites with his teammate Patrick Surtain, and off the Broncos go, trying to make some headway and capitalize on what was a very strong year this year. Let's start on Waddle, and then I got a couple other moves around the division. Does that scare you, JC, that Jalen Waddle is now going to be seeing Kansas City twice a year?
Yeah, when you look at their team and their reasoning behind it, they gave up a lot for him, but you do that when you think you're 1 or 2 players away. They went to the AFC Championship. If their quarterback doesn't get hurt, they're probably in the Super Bowl. So yeah, I mean, you pair him with Cortland Sutton, and I think those are the moves that you make when you feel like you're right at the door, at the doorstep. So, yeah, it's going to be tough, and that puts even more pressure that the Chiefs have got to go out and solidify that cornerback spot. What are you laughing at now, man? What happened?
Well, we're just gonna ISO out. Ryan is the leader now. Ryan, what you got on Jalen Waddle?
Ryan, how you like Jalen Waddle, man?
I tell you what, I loved him coming out. I thought he'd fit this offense in Kansas City really well. And I will say this: it feels like a theme to me about kick the Chiefs when they're down, because what's maybe the biggest question right now on the Chiefs defense? It's nickel corner. So, and no disrespect to Kohu, but he also, correct me if you've heard this before, he's coming off of an ACL tear last year. So, like, nickel is not fixed. And Jamar Connor's not the answer at nickel, folks. I hate to tell you, for those of you that are still holding on to that dream, he should be in a robber role just like Tyron was. I'm just saying. Mm-hmm. I do think that nickel still has to be addressed in the draft, and I do think the Broncos did this as at least part and parcel how to attack the Chiefs if they feel Sutton can get stopped by Fulton and Noel Williams in particular. I think Noel showed him a little bit of something too. So they're trying to attack on all levels, and I think it's a smart move for the Broncos. Chiefs just have to counter it with a nickel that can keep up.
Man, now look, I hate to say that Ryan was negative against the Chiefs just now. Look, so let me say this for all the negativity folk out there. The Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl this year. They might even go 20-0. So now that I got that out the way, I'm sorry, 19-0, because I guess they would get a first round bye. But I think that was a real smart move with them. And one thing that I was texting JC about when it happened is that I think, and Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong, they didn't make any moves this offseason or during free agency except for just re-signing their own players. Am I correct on that?
Yes, I got
so.
it. They signed or tendered 13 of their 17 restricted and unrestricted free agents.
Right. So what I was telling JC is what this is telling me is that Sean Payton is going the Indiana Hoosiers route to where he just wants to deal with veterans and players that are already established versus worrying so much about the draft and stuff like that, to where they'll deal with their picks. But I think he's comfortable enough with what he had, because they had one of the top defenses already in the NFL. I think they were top 3 in the NFL, and so and offensively, Sean Payton was very smart, called great plays, and he did not put his quarterback in positions that he would end up making mistakes and stuff like that. So, I think outside of the injury, I think Payton did the smart thing, brought in a speedster, somebody to go opposite of Cortland Sutherland, and I think your running back position was already solidified. So, I mean, they didn't have too many moves that they had to make this offseason, and especially because I think they got, they were through with the Russell Wilson dead cap stuff, so it's not like they didn't have money to spend. So they were. This is a smart move by them, and this is one of, as I told JC, I said, now I got to see how the Chiefs are going to offset this.
Vegas is making some moves. Obviously, the Max Crosby deal did not go through, but Tyler Linderbaum's deal did go through. $27 million, rocketing them towards the top of money spent. Currently second overall, $281 million. They also have a new pairing at linebacker, Nakobe Dean, Quay Walker there. Vegas obviously has the new brain trust. Potentially they'll have a new starting quarterback, which we all think will happen. Is anybody worried about the Las Vegas Raiders potentially stealing a game from the Chiefs in 2026, 27?
No. I said they're going to go 19-0.
So negative. So negative.
Yeah, you're just negative, Aaron.
Yo, we're doing a roundup of the division. I'm trying to.
The audience don't like the negativity from this show, man. Stop it.
How badly are the Chiefs going to beat the Raiders in 2026? Like, what are we doing?
They're not gonna skunk them now. I'm gonna give them a field goal at least. But I'll be honest. I don't. Hold on, who's the head coach? I forgot who the head coach was for the Raiders.
Yeah,
I know the guy from
they just hired
Seattle.
a dude from
Seattle.
Yeah.
So I mean, I gotta be honest. I gotta see how how Mendoza fits within his offense and this, because Ashton Genty didn't do a whole lot that people thought he was going to do last year. And I think they ended up shutting Brock Bowers down. So, I think they could have some good skill set players, but putting it all together is totally different too. So I don't expect much from the Raiders this year.
Nothing, man.
I mean,
the Chargers aren't impressive.
Right? They're not impressive.
No, not the Chargers. I mean, you got Boy Wonder, quarterback, and he'll fall on his face eventually. So
the Chargers retained Khalil Mack. They lost Owe. They brought in new offensive coordinator Mike McDaniel, Alec Ingold, Cole Strange, come over from Miami, Keaton Mitchell, their running back.
This is what bothers me. McDaniel, a running back tandem now with Mitchell that can hurt you, Hampton that can hurt you as long as he stays healthy. I think Harbaugh might actually get his run offense started. So I do think that is, again, something designed to attack a Chiefs weakness. So they got to
hope they don't get Tyreek. That's our competition, Mike McDaniels. So they don't get Tyreek. That's.
Let's go ahead and talk about that now. We got a couple minutes left in this. We might as well, right?
Oh, you said
now.
Who we finna talk about here?
Okay.
Who we finna talk about
McDaniels.
Are we holding out hope for Tyreek Hill still in 2026?
Not holding out hope, but I think it would be a good move. Just similar to this, the DB they signed from Miami. I mean, he's a young kid coming off an ACL playing corner and nickel. Come on, man. That's more of a concern to me than a receiver coming off of an ACL. Now, I don't know the extent of his injury. I know Tyreek's injury was a little more than that
and he's older.
I understand. Faster, more explosive. So age doesn't mean anything if you can still run and put them up and down. So, I think a similar type of deal like Travis, where it's incentive based, it's not going to hurt you if he comes in and he doesn't, get back up to. But I mean, a 75% Tyreek is as good as what we have right now, especially the backups have to be.
I just don't know if it's going to get past that by the time the season rolls around. Sorry, Darren.
No. I was just going to say, I mean, the team is keeping tabs on his update. I mean, he's here in Kansas City. He trains here.
We're keeping tabs on it too. That doesn't mean anything.
No. We're talking about it, but I'm saying they're actually keeping tabs on it, like they're having conversations. So, I mean, look, man, if they want to offer him a lot of money to keep him away from Kansas City, if I'm Tyreek, I'm taking it. In the condition that I'm in now, I'm taking it. But he also wants to win too, and he also wants to be in an offense that fits his skill. That's not, because I think somebody mentioned that Harbaugh's going to be trying to run a run-based offense even with Boy Wonder out there. So, I mean, he's out there. All they're going to do is send him up north and have him come back. So all he's going to be doing is running wind sprints, and I'm not sure just how often he's going to be able to get the ball out there, regardless.
Look, if y'all want to bring back a former Chiefs wide receiver, Marquez Valdez-Scantling is out there for the low.
No, I'm good.
Sky Moore is out there for the low.
Sky Moore is not out there.
Already,
DeAndre Hopkins is out there for the low.
Well, DeAndre, I could bring him in as a veteran, but Sky Moore's already he's in Green Bay, man. You got to do your homework.
He signed. Man. I missed that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, he signed. Come on, man. Come on, man.
Now, hold on. Hold on. Now, I'm gonna throw this out there because he did get a release from Tennessee, Ryan. Do you bring back L'Jarius Sneed if he's healthy?
That's the thing. L'Jarius was in Tennessee because they knew he wasn't going to be healthy. The people who had the most medical information on L'Jarius Sneed were the people who chose to let him go. So no, I don't think so. L'Jarius was my guy. Like, I had him pre-draft going to this team, and I was ecstatic. I would like nothing better than a healthy L'Jarius Sneed to come back, but I just don't think that's in the future.
I don't think that's over with. I think KC knew what time it was with his knees when they traded him the first time, and they got the best deal that they could at that time. And then
when they traded,
kind of inherited him,
and
then realized that.
Aaron, there was a reason why said they put a transition tag on him, versus just. I mean, they made sure he was going to get his money regardless, and then they found a sucker to trade for him. He got that guaranteed money, and they got a draft pick out of it, and he got a contract extension. So. I mean, it worked out. It worked out exactly how Kansas City wanted.
Did I see correctly? He played 9 games in his time in Tennessee.
No, I don't know if it was 9 games a season. Yeah, he might have been 9 games.
It wasn't many.
Nope.
Check.
If you're making me pick of the two, Tyreek Hill and L'Jarius Sneed, I'll take DeAndre Hopkins, please. Thank you very much.
He got jokes. I mean, I take DeAndre Hopkins as well, but he said he wasn't utilized well in Baltimore, which again goes to depending on what you look like in each team's offense. Again, Tyreek will look good in Kansas City's offense. He might not look good in Los Angeles.
I don't think DeAndre Hopkins is the answer. He was here once, yeah, and everywhere he's gone since has been a 1-year deal, and he's not really made an impact or the impact that people thought that he would make. I see that ship passing.
I agree. I don't think Diop is the answer here at this point. And if you had to pick one of the three, I mean, Tyreek's the only one that last time he was in town, it worked. Everybody else has either been hurt or passed on everywhere else. So it's 3 iffy choices, you ask me.
And the reason why I'm saying that and on that Tyreek bandwagon is just obviously the contract has to be right. right? You know, I mean, and I think that he would agree to something like that, where it's a incentive-based contract, prove it, where you don't have anything to lose, taking a shot and everything to gain, basically. Yeah, I don't think you put all your eggs and say, oh, we're signing him, he's our number one guy. You know, if it happens, great. But, you know, I think you have to sign him to a deal that is incentive-based and something that works for the team. I'm saying that, you know, he wants to come back. He knows he's got to prove himself. So I think it's a win-win on both sides. So that's why I'm saying that. But, you know, they still have to go and get a number one receiver or somebody they consider right now to be a number one that can step right in.
And what I think we go, because I read all the comments and I love it, but let's remember, because Aaron, you've been in the locker room with me. What these players want sometimes in the relationships, that's how they got Kareem Hunt back. You know, Kareem Hunt had these relationships with Andy and everybody else. Tyreek has these relationships with everybody else. That's the reason why they can confidently, you know, bring him back and it not be an issue. Like, I know fans are saying move on, but they probably said the same thing about Kareem Hunt, and he got back in the locker room and spent 2 years here. Like, I'll be trying to like let people know how this thing works in the background. And that's why I keep saying they're going to get it done with Tyreek. He's going to come back to Kansas City unless they just offered him a boatload of money out in LA.
Great show, fellas. Remember, the Chief Squad show is live every Tuesday and Thursday at 7 p.m. on YouTube and immediately in your podcast feeds right after. Until next time, we can have the L'Jarius Sneed conversation again next episode. I forgot about that topic.
It's over.
Oh, you
why?
Yeah, that was it.
That was
12 games in 2 years, by the way.
Yeah. We got nothing else to say about him. Why talk about him? He ain't coming back.
Until next time, stay safe, make good decisions.